And welcome to Sports Highlights on the Road. Once again, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. We're at Warwick High School at Newport News. It is our field hockey segment with the head coach at Menchville High School, Leslie Coates. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Greg.
And of course, you've kept it in the city. You went to Denby High School.
I did, yep. I graduated in 2012, played from 8th grade on. It was fun. We had a few district titles, went to regionals. Fun game. Soccer was my main sport. Field hockey was just kind of a sport to stay conditioned in the meantime. And it brought me here. I started off at Woodside, actually. I was JV coach for about 3 years and then took a break, finished up my college career, and brought me over here. Coach K was stepping down because she took a new job at central office, and that brought me to Menchville, and I've been here the last 3 years. So.
And one thing about the sport, you mentioned soccer too, and also field hockey, that there are some similarities. You have to get the ball in the goal.
Yep.
That's where it stops right there.
Yes, it's a little bit different as you can't use your feet at all in field hockey. There's also no offsides in field hockey, so you could have someone playing as high up as the goal as you wanted to. And the aspects, it is the same passing-wise. You work the ball down the field the same way. Communication is the same, just you have a stick and a ball as opposed to just the ball on your feet. So, fun sport. Could be a little bit dangerous compared to soccer, but it is a fun sport.
You mentioned dangerous. Talk about the mask. I saw sometimes where the girls will take the mask off toward the end of the game.
So yes, it's going to be a new rule that comes into effect next year. On corners, all of the defenders in the corner are going to have the face mask on. If they have those clear ones on, which you most likely saw during this game, they can keep them on throughout the entire corner play all the way down to the field. If they're wearing just the caged ones, they do have to come off by the 50. It is some protection just in case you catch a deflection or even a stick to the face. We had, even when I played, a few players, they caught a stick to the lip, some teeth came through, you catch a ball to the eyebrow, a stick to the eyebrow. Not very fun. So it is good to have those masks. It is an extra layer of protection there. So
I mean, it can really cause plastic surgery.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. I did have a friend who had to get her nose reconstructed from it. Yep.
Yeah, it's not exactly an easy sport. And of course, lacrosse is somewhat similar. And I think sometimes people get lacrosse and field hockey confused, but the balls are totally different.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think lacrosse, it has a little bit more give. A field hockey ball is basically just plastic all the way through, and hard plastic. So, yeah. If that hits you, it's leaving a mark for sure wherever it lands.
We're talking to Leslie Coates right here on the road, our November edition. Sports Highlights. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope you enjoyed all of our live sporting events and our taped sporting events on NNPS Telecom. When you talk about your team, your roster, talk about this year's team, some of the players.
So this year it's a little different. We graduated 7 seniors last year, so we are a very young team coming up. We have one freshman on the team, and she really is like our workhorse. You can put her in any position on the field and she is just going to flourish wherever she's at. We do have, I believe, 7 sophomores, which is a great problem to have. We love being young. They've really taken over. They've matured a lot from their freshman year. All 7 of them do start, so that's basically the entire team other than 3 other people. But we are young. We're only graduating 3 seniors this year, and then we have quite a few juniors coming up the following year, we have a good selection of those. A bunch play soccer. We have a bunch of dual athletes out here, which is a great problem to have. Numbers across the board in field hockey have been going down. So just getting those players to come out here and check out the sport that's different than what they've usually played. You hear a lot about soccer, softball, volleyball, all those sports, but field hockey really is never highlighted at all. So it's great to have you all come out here, put a little highlight on us so that hopefully it can raise numbers and show that it is a fun sport to play and be out there. And
especially for the younger girls out there watching. My younger sister's got a 12-year-old daughter. That's who you want to go after, right?
Oh, absolutely. You want to target the middle school age and even younger than that if you can get them in elementary school. I will say one thing that we do need to work on with Newport News is adding field hockey as a middle school sport. We have all the other sports. We have the volleyball, the soccer. We do not have in Newport News field hockey as a middle school sport. So it is really key making sure you're going to the middle schools, being a known face, letting them know that field hockey is an option for them to play when they get into high school, which is great because it's an easy way to make friends too. You already have a team behind your back, so easy way.
All right, you mentioned friends, so it's very important, I guess, for the girls to get along when they're playing, but also off the field. Do y'all do activities together for camaraderie? Because it can be difficult with academics, athletics, and
Oh
activities.
yeah, it is, and especially when you get a group of girls together. Girls tend to butt heads sometimes. So yes, we do team bonding a lot more so during the summer than we do, because we do start in really middle of July, beginning of August, full throttle. But yeah, we get together, we'll have little pool parties. They do a lot of different decorating things. We do have we did in October have breast cancer awareness, so we do that. We decorate bras for that, bring some awareness on that. They get together, hang out over the weekends. A lot are friends outside of school. They stay close and connected. And we say while we're in season, we are a family, so we want to be together as a family. And that translates to the field. You can't have any connection with each other if we're not getting along. So
Absolutely, great point. We're talking to Leslie Coates. She is the head field hockey coach at Menchville High School, very successful. And you talk about them getting along. I guess you can read body language pretty well.
Absolutely.
You can tell if a girl's not right mentally before the game starts.
yeah, you can. And we try to be transparent with everything. We let them know, even if we can't tell, you have to be honest with how you're feeling that day, because that could translate onto the field and then you're spreading that to other girls. It just takes one person to bring the rest down. So if we can keep the positive energy up, again, that one person can lead the other team. Oh, she's doing that, I can do that too. So keeping the camaraderie up, all the intensity, that really translates to everyone else's behavior out on the field.
And you told them the backstory too. You went to Denby. You weren't
did.
you're not that far apart from them.
Right. And it was fun. They realized that we are younger coaches out here, me and Coach Darby. We've played at a high level. I played college soccer. She played college field hockey. We know what it takes to get to that level, and that's what we want to bring out of these girls. We're not easy on them. We do make them run quite a bit, but it's a long season. They have to be able to last the longevity of staying healthy throughout those months.
Yeah, what advice would you give to some of the kids that want to play field hockey? Because like you said, you have to be think on your feet really carefully.
Oh, absolutely. For people who want to play field hockey, it is very much a mind sport too.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of thought process that goes into it. The stick, you can only use one side of it. If you've maybe been playing in hockey, we have 2 girls that play ice hockey that play out here. They
Wow.
can't use the back of the stick. So it's a lot different from that. But we encourage everyone to come out, come check it out at least. Even if you just want to watch a game, maybe you see that you like it, come out to a practice, see what it's about. All the numbers that we can get is great.
You made a great point about no JV or middle school. Talk about which one you don't have.
We do not have a middle school in Newport News.
Right.
And
So-
we are actually the only school in our district that has a JV team.
Right, so there's very little JV at all.
Yes.
You're the outlier.
Absolutely. And it's kind of hurt our JV program because scheduling games is difficult because all the teams that we have to play in our district do not have those JV teams, so we're looking out of district. And you have all the Bay Rivers district, they do have the middle school sports. So they have an abundance of players that get to come and play. And I think they have to play that middle school their 8th grade year, but still, and by the time they're in high school, they have all the skill that is needed to make that level of varsity.
And even your varsity team played at a school from Suffolk this year.
Yeah, we did. We just played Kings Fork.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to the head field hockey coach, Leslie Coates. Greg Bicaveras, glad you're with us. And you talk about this sport. You mentioned how important it is because some of the better players that normally would play JV are playing varsity in the 9th and 10th grade.
Oh, absolutely. And you need the numbers because you're playing 15-minute quarters. It has changed a bit. It used to be you had 30-minute halves. So,
30-minute halves can
yes,
be
so
daunting.
you have to have the longevity of your legs. You have to have that conditioning. That's why we start in July, so that they have the legs under them and stay in condition. We hit the weight rooms a few times to make sure that you are in shape to be able to play a sport throughout from August all the way to maybe mid-November if you make a run in states. So you do want to make sure that you have the numbers because if one man's down, it's next man up.
Yeah, because it's not like I played tennis. It's not like you can show up the day before practice. You should do a lot of stuff on your own, and there's conditioning you can do on your own. And there's also you can get like a teammate, and y'all can play your own little field hockey.
Oh, absolutely. And we have quite a few clubs in this area that a lot of the players play in, and that goes on throughout season too. They have tournaments every weekend, but yeah, they can work with partners. They can work with themselves. There's a lot of individual stick work that they can do, and even just being conditioned by running. is a great way to get at least your feet underneath you.
Talk about around this Hampton Roads area about college field hockey. Old Dominion has always had a very good
Oh,
team.
absolutely, and they've produced some amazing Olympic athletes. But we do have CNU, which is right down the street, and they are ranked #1, so they're going to make a good run come playoffs. We have Virginia Wesleyan. They're also another good D3 school. We've produced a few players out of Menchville. One is at Longwood, which is a D1. We have quite a few. One's at Coker. One is at, I think it's Burton. And then
A variety of schools.
yeah, we're all over, which is a good problem to have. Mary Washington, there's quite a few local schools in Virginia that all these girls have opportunities to do, and just playing high school sports, it gets your name out there.
Yeah, one
lets
thing
you
that's
know.
always intriguing to me is how do you find a goalie? Because you must like to be stationary when you're a goalie, but you still have to do a lot of moving.
Oh, absolutely. And our goalie actually just picked it up last year, so she's brand new, and she's small, but she's aggressive, and that's what you want. You have to have someone that has a little fight to them. And it is all the padding. I mean, maybe they feel a little bit sense of protection in that aspect, but it's a hard job. It puts a lot of pressure on the goalie, especially when you have things like a stroke or a shootout.
Yeah.
It's just 1v1, so you have that whole goal to protect. So it is definitely a huge position. And we have a girl that stepped into it, and she's thriving, and she loves it.
And what's great for you, especially because you played high school, and I remember playing tennis in high school, is these kids develop a personality, and that personality grows from the 9th to the 12th grade.
Oh, absolutely.
And of course, you've seen it blossom.
Yes, and they mature. Just watching them come out there as 9th graders, just wide eye, not knowing what to expect, and even seeing the jump from 9th to 10th grade, it's really insane. They matured so much. They stand up for one another. They have each other's backs, and that just goes back to saying, do we do team bonding? They're like a family. From August to November, we want them to be tight-knit, just like a family would be.
Full time, as far as you're concerned, are you in the building all the time? Talk about your schedule.
I am. So I spent the last 5 years at Denby High School and just made the switch this year to Menchville. So I see them throughout the day. If they're not able to eat lunch, I keep snacks in my office, healthy snacks, keep them fueled. We have a great team family too. We have the parents that will come out. They will bring dinners before games, especially if we have later games, to keep them fueled. We do have really great support around Menchville, and it overall is a family together.
And the one thing, these girls were all smiling, you know.
Yes, and that's what you have to keep. You have to keep the camaraderie. On days like that you have are rainy or cold, you never know what you're going to get in this Virginia weather. It could be 90 the next day. You never know what you're going to get. So
Exactly.
keeping them
Very
happy,
good. Leslie,
yes.
all the best to you
Thank
and your
you.
team and your future as well.
Yep, thank you.
Very good. That was Leslie Coates right there, the head varsity field hockey. Like she said, there's not many JV programs on the peninsula. So stay tuned for our next guest. That was Leslie Coates. We'll talk to you in just a bit.
You're watching NNPS TV. Catch sports highlights on Mondays at 7, 2, and 7, and on Saturdays and Sundays at 9 a.m. Visit us online at nnpstv.com to view all your favorite episodes. NNPS TV, watching education happen.
Music and fine arts provide enriching experiences. They teach students that there can be more than one solution to a problem, more than one right answer, that mistakes are learning experiences, and present an opportunity to be creative and flexible. The arts encourage persistence and dedication. They require sustained concentration, personal reflection involving critical analysis, and self-adjustment to reach desired goals. These are essential 21st century skills. Skills recognized as important to productive career and citizen success. Each student deserves and benefits from an arts-rich education.
And welcome back to our November edition of Sports Highlights. We're on the road. We just talked to the Menchville field hockey coach. Now it's a pleasure to talk to the Menchville boys volleyball coach. We've televised his games on YouTube. Good to see you, Glenn Ritter.
Glad to be here, Greg.
Very good. Tell us about your background.
So I've actually been coaching volleyball here. I've gone for 9 years now. I've also been doing 2 seasons of travel ball as well.
And you went to Grafton High School.
Yes, Grafton High School, all three Graftons, Bethel, Middle, and High.
Very good, very good. What did you learn from high school to carry you on to as a coach, as a player to a coach?
Well, mostly it was the fact that you have to learn how to grow, and there was a lot of growing up in my young age, because I was one that definitely made some bad choices in life, but I learned that how hard I had to work in order to reach the goals I wanted.
Very good. Talk about your varsity team in 25. How would you compare it to other teams?
This might be the best team I've ever had. We have great hitters. We're great on defense. I've got a group of 6 seniors, and they are all out there contributing and working extra hard, and we've just had a great season so far this year.
And one thing I noticed too is you have a lot of bench support, and that is important for the kids' morale that are playing to boost them up, because I noticed that during the game we televised, there were some other opposition saying, "Where's the noise at?" So that crowd noise means a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, what I tell the boys all the time is that we're here as a team. Just because there's only 6 players on the court at a time, the whole team is involved with it. We need to be involved from our support to reading the defense on the court to helping our hitters. As our hitters are going up, people on the bench should be telling them where the opening is to go for.
Yeah.
So it's a team effort.
Very good. We're talking to Glenn Ritter. He's the head boys volleyball coach at Menchville High School. Greg Bickaveris, glad you're with us on the road here in Newport News. And you talk about volleyball, the fundamentals are so important. There's a lot of backstory before you actually get on the court.
Absolutely. Practice and learning the sport itself takes a lot. Most people don't realize just how much is involved with volleyball, how much effort goes into it, how many rules there are to follow. It takes a lot of work to get there.
Absolutely. The before and after is so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, let's talk about some of the different things too. It's always amazing when you see somebody just slapping their hand hitting the ball, using their fist or the dink or whatever. So there's a lot of different ways you can get that ball over the net. But I noticed once it gets to the 5th set, people start getting tired, and that good server all of a sudden is struggling sometimes to get it over the net.
Absolutely, and that's where the difference really comes out, and that's where the conditioning shows. You may not always be the best on the first set, but you need to be the best on the last set.
Right, and sometimes when you get to that last set, the scoring changes too, right? First,
Absolutely.
to explain that to us how the scoring
Yeah,
works.
so when you go through the opening sets, it's first to win 3 out of 5. However, if it's 2-2 and you go to a 5th set, the 5th set only plays to 15 points as opposed to 25 points.
Very good. Talking to Glenn Ritter, we're talking about volleyball, and the middle school level pretty much is 2 out of 3.
Yes.
Do you like that? Do you kind of just wish it would stay that way as far as maybe get more kids involved, less time involved? Because the before and after for 2 out of 3 to 3 out of 5, there's a difference.
There is a definite difference, but a lot of that is adjustment. A lot of reason it goes to the best out of 5 is because you look at the college level, and that we're preparing these kids for the college level. They play 5 sets in college. So it is an advantage. It does mean for a longer night sometimes, but sometimes that extra time allows you to get extra players onto the court, to get that extra practice in there, and sometimes if you're in a good position, you can go ahead and run additional plays.
Now, Warwick's been a good opponent for you guys.
Absolutely.
Y'all have split with them before, and of course, talk about that rivalry.
That rivalry is always the biggest one of the year. A lot of our players, just geographically, a lot of them go to middle school together. So then when they get to high school, they're in their separate schools now. Now they're just looking for a little more fun going against their friends.
Very good. Talking to Glenn Ritter, the head boys volleyball coach at Menchville High School. And of course, it's amazing how popular volleyball has grown. You know, you talk about it indoors or outdoors. They play, also in the Olympics as well.
Absolutely. Especially boys volleyball. Boys volleyball as a program has been probably, as far as I understand, is the fastest growing high school sport in the U.S. now. You're also seeing that at the college level. In fact, just this year, you had, I believe, 4 colleges here in Virginia that have added boys volleyball just this year. I actually sent players to 2 of them.
Right. We were commentating, Sonny and I both play a lot of tennis. And of course, you talk about there are some similarities with it. You have to have a strong serve. You have to watch the net. Footwork is very important. So there are some similarities there, but the bottom line is you have to get that ball over the net. But it's a quick default if you don't get the ball over into the opposite side because you lose a point.
Absolutely. Yeah, unlike other sports, when you make a mistake, the other team directly receives a point as opposed to the other team just gets the opportunity to get a point. So yeah, getting that ball over the net is very important, and because you have 6 players as opposed to 1 or 2 in tennis, you get more opportunity to set up a better play.
Can you tell if a player is off during a game, physically and mentally both, not on their A game? And what do you do as a coach to change that?
100%. You can see it, especially when you start noticing a player is missing their serves consistently, or passes that you normally watch them get, they're not getting a great pass off of it, or just missing the court entirely on their hits. Many times I usually will try to pull them off. That's why I have so many players on my bench. Put somebody else on there that can fill the role so I can have that opportunity to talk with them, bring them back into the right mindset so we can get focused on winning the match.
You know, volleyball is a high energy sport. You need a lot of energy. I've always been amazed that it really doesn't matter the size. It's more about the heart. Obviously you want some tall players up front, but really it's all about what's inside physically and mentally.
Absolutely. I've had plenty of outside hitters on girls and boys that are undersized for what you would consider at a college level. And yet they still come out here and they'll be the district players of the year, sometimes regional players of the year.
Yeah. Do you watch how the girls and boys differ? Is it more about fundamentals? What is the biggest difference? Is it obviously the strength for some, but the key is the rallies can last a long time, and I'm always amazed by that.
Absolutely. So when it comes to the boys sport, the game is a little bit faster. So I've always said that boys volleyball is more controlled at the net. I tell my boys all the time, if someone goes up for a really good swing, if we don't at least get a finger on the block, slow that ball down a little bit, we have no chance in the back row of digging it up.
Right. So, really it is the total team effort to make it. As we're talking to Glenn Ritter right here on the road for our November edition. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope you enjoyed our wonderful football season and all of our sports highlight shows. And you talk about advice. What advice would you give? Because you mentioned kids can play at the middle school level, but people start playing volleyball at a young age.
Absolutely. I have actually had the opportunity to coach some kids from as young as 8 years old. The best thing I can say, pick up a ball, go find a court. There's plenty of sand courts out there, Newport News Park, down at the beaches, Huntington Park. Start learning the sport. And if it's something you really, really enjoy and you want to pursue more, there are opportunities at local boys and girls clubs, rec leagues. There's also, you can also get more private lessons involved with AAU and travel ball.
What about the advantages? Sometimes during the summer you might see somebody playing 3-on-3 at the beach. How does that benefit 6-on-6?
Well, anytime you get a chance to touch the ball is always a good opportunity. It gives you that more opportunity to get used to the ball, making better plays, stronger plays. It is always a good idea to get out there. Even when you're on there with 3, we actually will do 3-on-3 in practice many times because now there's more of the court that you're responsible for. So it makes you move faster to make a play.
Yeah, when you talk about the ball, talk about how it's changed. Obviously, you need a lot of air in it, because balls, I know sometimes during matches they actually change balls.
Yeah, a lot of times when we change balls during a match, it's usually not so much because it's gone flat on us. Most of the time, it just gets sweaty. Mm-hmm. And obviously, when that ball's wet, it's harder to make contact with it. You're not going to get as control as easily with it. That's why usually in games you'll see it right before serve. You'll see someone ask to switch a ball out.
Final few moments here with Glenn Ritter. He's the head boys volleyball coach at Menchville High School, the Monarchs as well. What about summer camps and where do you learn from? Because you're always constantly learning. There's a lot on video that you can watch and accessible on YouTube and other places. Are you constantly watching other stuff on the video?
Absolutely. I'm always watching, I'm learning. I personally also sometimes try and get myself out to colleges, tend to run summer camps as well. I usually try to go out there and just be an observer. I can see what the college level does, how it differs, because the game at the college level is very different. It's a lot faster paced. So there's a lot of drills that I can learn just by watching them.
Are there more subs at the college level?
Actually, there's less. There's less subs at the college level.
Why is that?
So most college teams, you have, what's the wording I want to look for here?
They have more depth?
They have more depth in some ways, but less in some ways. Usually those teams have a lot smaller numbers. I see a lot of college teams will only have 13, 14 players, whereas myself, I keep 18.
What kind of strategy and game planning do you have? Because you don't have a whole lot of time to prepare between each match.
A lot of times I'm watching film, I'm learning what off of mistakes we've made in the past with the same teams because we play them twice a year. So I'm always preparing, and with the fact that in high school we're going game, practice, game, it's not a lot of time to prepare, so I'll be writing game plans and practice plans sometimes a week ahead of time.
Right, but you mentioned conditioning is so important, but how you strike the ball is important too.
Absolutely.
But I'm always amazed by the touch. In tennis, we call it the drop shot, just kind of like dinking it right across the net. And knowing when to back off is important.
Absolutely. A lot of times it's all about that practice and that experience of reading. When you see somebody going up for a swing, you see them reach that hand up, you know they're going to tip the ball as opposed to taking a full swing at it. So you have to adjust and fill the gaps and watch the short ball, because usually a tip's going to come short.
Have you ever had a team where you have all tall players?
Absolutely.
And talk about that.
It is a lot different. I've had many kids that have asked me, so a lot of tall players, there's a lot of them there, a lot less likely to dive for a ball.
Right.
And I tell them, because myself, I'm 6'4", that's a lot longer trip to the ground than someone that's only 5'4".
Absolutely. Talk about the dimensions of the court, how they're different, you mentioned, from high school and college.
So the actual dimension of the court is the same. The only differences you run into with courts most of the time is when you transition from the girls to the boys' net. The boys' net is almost a foot taller.
You mentioned Warwick. What other teams have been rivalries over the years, or you've admired from a distance on the peninsula and the south side both?
Kickotan is definitely a big rival of ours. Kickotan is, we've always joked that Kickotan is the Minchville of Hampton, and with the way their student section is and everything, it's a big rivalry there, and I think that's in more than just volleyball. That's probably across all sports.
How about the York County schools where you grew up at?
So York County schools unfortunately don't have boys volleyball. That is something I've been wishing they would change for years. Even when I was at Grafton, we tried to get at least a boys volleyball club. Unfortunately, we couldn't get enough support for it. I would love to see boys volleyball grow in many of these schools that still do not have it. Like I said, it's the fastest growing boys sport in high school right now.
Yeah, locally, regionally, and nationally, very important to have volleyball. Volleyball is a big key, and it helps the kids' self-esteem too, because when they're doing good in sports, they're doing good in academics.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm personally always keeping an eye on the kids' grades. It's a lot easier to keep them involved with the academics when they're involved with the athletics.
Very good, Glenn. Thanks for all your time, your talent, and your treasure about enlightening us about the wonderful sport of volleyball.
I appreciate you, Greg.
Very good. Keep up the good work right
Thank
there.
you.
Glenn Ritter right there, very excited about being the head coach, and you can tell that enthusiasm carries off to the faculty, the staff, the players, and the fans watching online and also in person as well. I want to thank our guest today from Menchville, the field hockey head coach, as well as Glenn Ritter as well. So for Ray Price, I'm Greg Bicaveras. Thanks for watching a November edition of Sports Highlights on the Road, and we'll talk to you soon.